We are tuned in to fitness and consciousness. Today's episode is called Finding Yourself. It doesn't, I'm going to look at this from several aspects of what that means and not what, maybe people think of at first, like you're young and lost. And so you got to go, find yourself. Although that's part of it, it'll be just a small part of the way I explore the idea here. The idea came to me just a little bit ago. I just came home from a friend of mine's house. She's moving not too far, but I'm helping her move tomorrow. And when we were there, she introduced me to Willie Nelson's son. He wasn't actually there, but I didn't know his Willie Nelson's son played and sang. And she played the song, a Jimi Hendrix song, Polly Gap, and Hey Baby, which is my favorite Jimi Hendrix song. And then on the way home, I was listening to, it's Lucas Nelson. And so I just clicked on Spotify and I clicked on the most popular song. And these are the lyrics for it. Well, I don't mind sleeping alone if it means I don't have to play your crazy games no more. You're the most precious thing I've ever seen, but I ain't gonna let it slide when you're mean to me. I know the love that I deserve. And I hope you find yourself before I find somebody else to be my love. And I hope you find yourself before I find somebody else to be my love. Well, you tell me things I want to hear. You want me near, and I know you feel me leaving you. You think that I won't say goodbye, but baby, I ain't standing by while you stretch the truth. I know the love that I deserve. And I hope you find yourself before I find somebody else to be my love. Oh, I hope you find yourself before I find somebody else to be my love. I know the love that I deserve. I know the love that I deserve. Oh, I know the love that I deserve. Baby, I know the love that I deserve. And I hope you find yourself before I find somebody else to be my love. Oh, I said, I hope you find yourself before I find somebody else to be my love. Lord, I said, I hope you find. Written by Lucas Nelson. Wish I could play the songs, but I think there's something about reading the lyrics also. And I'm not sure how much I want to dig into the I don't know, it's not quite serendipity. Dig into the coincidence or whatever of that being the first one that I pull up. And this friend of mine, we were more than friends at a time, and just a couple days ago, Monday, I was teaching class and I was talking about something. I don't remember what it was exactly, but something came up about the idea of paying for other people's dinners or concerts. And I asked this friend of mine who takes my classes if she ever does that. She's a very generous person. And she said there might be an occasion where she takes a friend out, but it's usually, have these boundaries there. But I think, like, especially guys, we can get into this kind of habit of paying for girls when there's maybe it's not quite appropriate. Maybe it's just something that we do because we're hoping that something is going to happen from that, and we're just kind of like putting pennies in this bank, and it's going to pay off sometime. But there's something that seems like kind of natural about it, and so this friend of mine, I think I paid for a carry out every time. If we went out to eat, I paid every time, and it was getting to the point where I was thinking I might end up saying something like, because sometimes I was doing because I didn't think she had really very much money, and maybe I somewhat am thinking, who knows what's going to happen down the line. But it was just about to the point where I was going to be saying, I don't think it's, maybe if you have the money, pay your own way. But tonight she asked me to come over, and she said that she would buy the carryout. And I didn't say anything about having, these thoughts. I think I've mentioned it before on the show, so maybe she heard that part of a show. I think she listens sometimes, but not every time. And so it was just an interesting thing because I'm, getting to the point where I'm going to have to just stop doing this. And then she offers to pay. And then that's what ended up happening. I went and I picked it up. I paid for it there, and she gave me cash when I got to her apartment. And then, we were just talking, hanging out, and she showed me or played some of the Lucas Nelson songs. Right away, I really liked him a lot. I didn't know. So normally when well, I won't get into all that. But I was thinking of what this show was going to be about, and before I was thinking I was going to call it something like something about friends. And I had a song in mind to read, the Beatles song, and or like the Joe Cocker version. And the Joe Cocker version is what I'm finding it here. Probably has a bigger imprint on me. I guess I forgot that it was even a Beatles song, even though I really like the Beatles a lot too. But I used to really like to watch the Wonder Years, and there's just something about that song. And so here it is. What would you think if I sang out of tune? Would you stand up and walk out on me? Lend me your ears and I'll sing you a song, and I'll try not to sing out of key. Oh, I get by with a little help from my friends. I get high with a little help from my friends. Gonna try with a little help from my friends. What do I do when my love is away? Does it worry you to be alone? How do I feel at the end of the day? Are you sad because you're on your own? No, I get by with a little help from my friends. I get high with a little help from my friends. Gonna try with a little help from my friends. Do you need anybody? I need somebody to love. Could it be anybody? I want somebody to love. Would you believe in a love at first sight? Yes, I'm certain that it happens all the time. What do you see when you turn out the light? I can't tell you, but I know it's mine. Oh, I get by with a little help from my friends. I get high with a little help from my friends. Gonna try with a little help from my friends. Do you need anybody? I just need someone to love. Could it be anybody? I want somebody to love. Oh, I get by with a little help from my friends. With a little help from my friends. and I have a few more things to read. Uh, when I got home and I knew what this was going to be about. I was going to talk about friends, and I'm pulling up the song lyrics to have them ready on my phone, and I'm looking through these books. And I look in my book. Well, it's not mine. I just rechecked it out from the library. A Year with Rumi. And if you listen to the show, you know I like to read Rumi. And the first thing that I turned it to page 307. I'm showing the camera backwards words. Uh, Childhood friends. That's what I opened it up to. The first thing I opened it up to. And there's 4 poems on childhood friends. I'll read those in a little bit. I'm lucky enough, I don't know if some of you may follow me on Instagram. It's at Hadley Fitness, HADLEY Fitness. But I have some friends of mine, and some of them are trainers, strength trainers and yoga teachers, and we've been going out and hanging out in the woods and at different parks, and a couple new people met us at, one of them I just met, and we're climbing around in the trees, and we're lifting rocks, and we're jumping over stuff and doing squats with logs on our backs, and it was just such a great time. It was just so fun, and it always is. And that high from that, perfectly sober. I don't do any kind of drugs or anything, but just that high from that, it lasts for a long time. And for a while, I wasn't really hanging out with anybody, and I had some really cool friends where I grew up in Shelbyville, and then when I moved to Greenfield, my junior year in high school, I happened to get right in with some really cool people that I'm still friends with some of them, and then after that, you get away from the people you go to school with, and it gets a little bit harder to meet people, and you hang out with the people that you work with, and that can be cool. But sometimes you end up just hanging out with people that have the same bad habits. And when I quit drinking, and not that I had a big drinking problem or anything, but I quit drinking and smoking weed and everything 6.5 years ago. And there were some buddies I used to hang out with that pretty much haven't seen since. But hanging out with this group of people that just love getting out and having fun outside, and just feeding off of each other's energy. It's really cool. And then I was at White Pine. I teach a wilderness survival school, strength conditioning class there. One of the guys said that somebody else, said that I could come up to their place when they're doing they have a men's circle thing, and it almost I must have misheard you. It sounded like I was invited to this thing. And I was like, oh, he said I could come too, and he's like, yeah. And I mean, he invites me. He does sweat lodges, and I'm invited to the sweat lodges and stuff. So I don't know why it would surprise me, but for some reason it kind of does. I think there's a lot of people that kind of think this way. They wonder, when they get invited somewhere, does that person really want them to be there? And I think, you give it a try if it's somebody you want to hang out with, and it'll be a positive experience. Then give it a shot. and see what happens, and then open yourself up to hanging out with, to inviting people to this stuff. I mean, it can really change your life. So the finding yourself, what I was, the title of this episode, I was thinking of, when we find ourselves, we find ourselves in all these different places. So like right now I find myself sitting in front of a microphone. Right now I'm pretty much just talking to myself, but I'm talking to everyone that's ever going to listen to this show. For people listen to the earliest episodes, so that's cool. Most of them aren't like time sensitive thing. It's neat that people are listening. I'm talking to kind of everyone and talking to myself. And so I find myself, here's where I find myself. I'm in this position. This is podcast number, I think it's the 83rd episode. And, so I'm like literally finding myself here in this position. And then we find ourselves in all these different positions, all these different situations. So when we're a real little kid, we don't really, you don't hear a lot of 6-year-olds saying, "Oh, I just got to go off and find myself." You know what I mean, man? It's the 6-year-olds, they're in the moment, and then something happens, and then people think they got to go find themselves. So what's that all about? Like, what are we missing? There's like these like coming of age things, and we end up in places that we'd rather not be. And I think some of it, we kind of like co-write our reality. So you're in control of what happens to you mostly. And there's a lot of things that are just out of your control. When we get to be, like, I have a daughter, she'll be 21 next month. And so as I see her trying to figure it out, and she wants to find like a non-profit to work for, and she's such a cool person, and it's kids don't always do what we want them to do. They're not robots, and you learn that your kids really aren't yours. They're theirs. It's your responsibility to make sure they have what they need from until they hit that magic age of 18, or it goes on and on, really. But you learn after a while that they're not really yours, and that's a tough one. They're their own person, and when you see them trying to find themselves, it can be pretty tough when you think you have the answers, and I know a really easy solution to these problems. Like, here's this friend of mine, she'll help you get a job at this place. All you have to do is, but you'd rather do this other thing. Okay. And my son will be 18 next month. It's pretty surreal. That's about the ages I were. I was almost 19 when my daughter was born, and my son's 3 years younger than her. And just thinking of what that looks like now, we just hope they can figure it out. But we find ourselves in all these different situations. So I found myself in this position where I'm the one that's always buying the food, and I'm the one buying the, whatever it is for this friend of mine. And just when I'm I'm not even mad about it, but just getting to the point where I'm like, okay, I got to say something. I don't have to say anything. She buys. Like, okay, that's cool. And we just hope that when we find ourselves in these positions, that we're responding in the way that suits what we really want the best. And get to be around these people that, for the most part, the people that I'm around are really cool. It's almost shocking to be around somebody that isn't being cool, but it does happen. Uh, so as we find ourselves throughout life, we find ourselves where we are, and as long as we keep, Joe Rogan has a quote that's something about the momentum of good decisions. I forget what it is exactly, but I like that statement of his that, and I wrote that in this 101 quotes that I made for my daughter. And okay, I just paused it for a second. I found the Joe Rogan quote, and I just lost it. Okay, build confidence and momentum with each good decision you make from here on out, and choose to be inspired. Build confidence and momentum with each good decision you make from here on out, and choose to be inspired. I really like that one. Choose to be inspired, and the momentum of good decisions. So when we do this, we'll find ourselves with the right people, because I end up being around people who they're working on themselves, and a lot of the people that I hang out with are teachers. They have their own business, and maybe they're not like the richest people in the world. Some of them might have a lot of money. Some of them I don't even care about that. But the main thing is they have their own business doing what they want to do, and it almost surprises me when I see myself and I'm looking around at who my friends are. It's like, man, these people are really cool. I really like these people, and they have a lot of neat things going, and they're also different. Like when we go out to play in the woods and climb trees and stuff, maybe I'm better at this than almost anybody else, and they're all better than me at their own thing. It's really cool, and everybody's uh, they're supportive. You finally somebody clapping. I lift this big rock over my head, people clap, and then I see like uh, buddy like Joey. He's a fearless sloth on Instagram for a good reason, but he'll like jump from like this fallen tree, jump from like one limb to another, and if he fell, it'd be bad news for sure. But he does that, and people are clapping, and it's not like nobody's like jealous or anything like that. They're just it's so cool to be around. And if you're in the Indianapolis area, uh, you can go to the Indie Strength and Movement Community Facebook page, uh, and you can join it. And then you can find out where we go, because we have like a big group of people that go and we hang out in the woods and do different stuff. So you can feel free to join. Um, and I'm kind of like a little bit all over the place in this, but I'm focused in, but I have a lot of different aspects of this concept that I was wanting to get to. It all kind of dawned on me at once. Uh, so it's, anyways, this was from the Prophet, Khalil Gibran. And a youth said, "Speak to us of friendship." And he answered, saying, "Your friend is your needs answered. He is your field which you sow with love and reap with thanksgiving. And he is your board and your fireside, for you come to him with your hunger, and you seek him for peace. When your friend speaks his mind, you fear not the nay in your own mind, nor do you withhold the a. And when he is silent, your heart ceases not to listen to his heart. For without words, in friendship, all thoughts, all desires, all expectations are born and shared with joy that is unacclaimed. When you part from your friend, you grieve not, for that which you love most in him may be clearer in his absence, as the mountain to the climber is clearer from the plain. And let there be no purpose in friendship save the deepening of the spirit. For love that seeks aught but the disclosure of its own mystery is not love, but a net cast forth, and only the unprofitable is caught. And let your best be for your friend. If he must know the ebb of your tide, let him know its flood also. For what is your friend that you should seek him with hours to kill? Seek him always with hours to live, for it is his to fill your need, but not your emptiness. And in the sweetness of friendship let there be laughter and sharing of pleasures. For in the dew of little things the heart finds its morning and is refreshed. I like that. That's why I read it. So when I have something, these things happen, like today, and this friend of mine, and this situation where I was the one paying for all the carry out, and then she offers. It really means a lot. And so when I went there tonight, she wasn't. It's not like she was using me for her green curry supply. I never felt like that. But I guess it was starting to get a little bit out of balance, and it doesn't take much to even it out. It doesn't have to be even for it to be even. I don't think she owes me. I'm not keeping track of how many bits of carry out there were. It's even. I was looking through some Kabir. So Kabir is. When did he live? I think it was a couple hundred years ago. 15th century India. Kabir from Kabir. So Rumi, I think, was like from it was like 1200s, 1300s, a long time ago. This is from Kabir. When my friend is away from me, I am depressed. Nothing in the daylight delights me. Sleep at night gives no rest. Who can I tell about this? The night is dark and long. Hours go by. Because I am alone, I sit up suddenly. Fear goes through me. Kabir says, "Listen, my friend, there's one thing in the world that satisfies, and that is the meeting with the guest." So if I understand the guest right, the guest is like the God within you, like the spirit within you. I think that's what he means by the guest. He talks about the guest a lot. Here's another Kabir. Go and do good things for your God, who has unexpectedly entered the temple of day and night. Don't be the lunatic in the second act. This day will not last forever. The one I love has waited for millions and millions of years for me. It was for love of me that he lost his self-sufficiency. But I know nothing of that delight which was 3 inches from me, because my love was still asleep. Now my darling has made clear to me the meaning of that note I heard. Now my good now my good time has come. Kabir says, see how great my luck is? Imagine someone you love stroking you, and that tenderness never ends. Slightly off. I actually meant to read a different one, but that one's good too. The bookmark in there, though, so maybe I did mean to read it. This is another Kabir. This is the other one I meant to read. Why should we, too, ever want to part? Just as the leaf of the water rhubarb lives floating on the water, we live as the great one and little one. As the owl opens his eyes all night to the moon, we live as the great one and little one. This love between us goes back to the first humans. It cannot be annihilated. Here is Kabir's idea. As the river gives itself into the ocean, what is inside me moves inside you. I was watching the Joe Rogan podcast the other day, and he was talking about people making a lot of money from YouTube videos, and there was a 7-year-old kid that made $22 million last year from doing toy reviews. And there's people making millions of dollars per year, some of them like $1 million per month, playing video games, and they're not even great at the video games. It's not like these are the world champion video game people. They're funny. They're entertainers. So I actually haven't watched any of them, but from what I hear, they're just entertaining. So they're just people like to watch them. They're funny, and I have nothing against somebody making $22 million if they're 7 years old and doing toy reviews, and they're bringing in that kind of money from advertising, and I think it's great. I wonder if the kid has any concept of what he's bringing in, if he knows that he has the FU money, as they say it, as a 7-year-old. That could be unhealthy. But wouldn't that be an interesting situation to find yourself in? So I found myself in the situation where I'm like, this kid is 7, and I'm waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go to my job at a factory. It's a pretty good job, actually. I don't dislike it. And then in the afternoons and evenings, I'm teaching my classes, and I have my one-on-one clients for personal training, and so I'm doing what I want for a living, and I'm doing more than that because there's good benefits and steady pay, and but if I made $22 million last year and I was only doing what I wanted, what would I find myself doing? What would you do if you had $22 million? Now, if you go crazy with the money, you could run out, but if you're smart with the money, that could last forever. Interest and whatever. But there was, something, because I have my videos are on YouTube, and I'm not making 22 million a year yet from advertising. So it's just an interesting thing to find find myself in this position where, it became, something to look at. If I only did what I wanted to do, if money wasn't so necessary, or if I, was in this position where I didn't have to do something for money that I didn't want to do, what would I do? I would still do the podcast. I like doing the podcast. I would still be a trainer and still be teaching classes. And it's an interesting thing, like what we want to do and the ways that we can look at things. So do I want to wake up at 4:00 in the morning? Right now it is 12:19. I have to wake up in 3 hours and 45 minutes. I did fall asleep a little bit after work earlier. So it's like, do I want to wake up at 4:00 in the morning? No. Okay, well, what happens if I don't? Well, then I end up losing my job and I won't make enough money. And then, I could probably survive off of just training, but I want more money coming in, the stability and all that. And like being able to afford my place to live and all of that. So I want to keep my job. So yes, I do want to wake up at 4 in the morning. It's not like this is my only option. Like I'm in this thing. So I think we find ourselves in these positions where we're unhappy doing something that we don't want to do, when we can just change this in our mind, just fix it in our mind. And then it's like, do you want to wake up at 4 a.m.? Yes. Because it gets me all of this other stuff. But if I can get to a point where I don't have to do that, then no, I don't want to wake up at 4 a.m. And there's things that make it worth it. And so much of it is, I'm seeing like the community and the friends. If we have these things that are going really great, so I have my classes and clients and all that stuff is really cool, and cool people to hang out with, and new people that I haven't hung out with so much. We're trying to hang out more and trying to make it just a community, so it's not like this, tight clique that other people are allowed in, like some like high school thing. We're inviting people. We're making it like this public thing. Hey, we're coming out to this park. We're doing this. We'd love for more people to come out and have some fun with us. And then we have these nice things to think about while we're doing the things that maybe we'd rather not do if we were in a different position. I just got a message from, not to be like checking my phone while I'm doing the podcast, but had it from the songs I was reading. I sent that song that I wrote, or song that I read from Lucas Nelson to that friend of mine and then she just sent me a message back that said, yeah, I thought you'd like that one. It's so strange, this life that we get. Like, what are we doing here? And this is the poem that I opened it up to from Rumi. When I mentioned earlier, I just opened it up, and it happened to be talking about this. Oh, I just lost it. Here we go. This is Rumi. Put your vileness up to a mirror and weep. Get that self-satisfaction flowing out of you. Satan thought, I am better than Adam, and that better than is still strongly in us. Your stream water may look clean, but there is unstirred matter on the bottom. Your guide can dig a side channel that will drain that waste off. Trust your wound to a teacher's surgery. Sorry. Flies collect on a wound, they cover it. Those flies of your self-protecting feelings, your love for what you think is yours. Let a teacher wave away the flies and put a plaster on your wound. Don't turn your head. Keep looking at the bandaged place. That is where the light enters you, and don't believe for a moment you are healing yourself. It's good. This is also a childhood friend's Rumi. He took the mirror from his robe where he was hiding it. What is the mirror of being, non-being? Always bring a mirror of non-existence as a gift. Any other present is foolish. Let the poor man look deep into generosity. Let bread see a hungry man. Let kindling behold a spark from the flint. An empty mirror in your worst destructive habits, when they are held up to each other, that is when the real making begins. That's where art and crafting are. A tailor needs a torn garment to practice his expertise. The trunks of trees must be cut and cut again, so they can be used for fine carpentry. Your doctor must have a broken leg to doctor. Your defects are the ways that glory gets manifested. Whoever sees clearly what is diseased in himself begins to gallop on the way. There is nothing worse than thinking you are well enough. More than anything, self-complacency blocks the workmanship. Still Rumi. Then Joseph began questioning his friend. What have you brought me? You know, a traveler should not arrive empty-handed at the door of a friend like me. That is going to the grinding that is like going to the grinding stone without your wheat. God will ask at the resurrection, did you bring me a present? Did you think you wouldn't see me? Joseph keeps teasing. Let's have it. I want my gift. The guest began. You cannot imagine how I have looked for something for you. Nothing seemed appropriate. You don't take gold down into a gold mine or a drop of water to the Sea of Oman. Everything I thought of was like bringing cumin seed to Kermanshah, where cumin comes from. You have all seeds in your barn. You even have my love and my soul, so I cannot bring those. I have brought you a mirror. Look at yourself and remember me. You see why this stuff lasts for 800 years. It's still amazing. A close childhood friend came once to visit Joseph. They had shared all the secrets that children tell each other when they are lying on their pillows at night before they go to sleep. These two were completely truthful with each other. The friend asked, what was it like when you realized that your brothers were jealous and what they planned to do? I felt like a lion with a chain around his neck, not degraded by the chain and not complaining, just waiting for my power to be recognized. How about down in the well and in prison? How was it then? Like the moon when it is getting smaller, yet knowing the fullness to come. Like a seed pearl ground in the mortar for medicine that knows it will now be in the light of the human eye. Like a wheat grain that breaks open in the ground, then grows and gets harvested, then crushed in the mill for flour, baked and then crushed again between teeth to become a person's understanding. Lost in love, like the songs the planters sing the night after they sow the seed. Here's another song about friends. It's the theme song from the show Friends. Um, which the song is maybe not as people still use the term bubblegum as it may seem. But I just thought of it. I was actually about to look up a different song, which I'll read in a moment. The song is called I'll Be There For You by the Rembrandts. So no one told you life was going to be this way. Your job's a joke, you're broke, your love life's DOA. It's like you're always stuck in second gear when it hasn't been your day, your week, your month, or even your year. But I'll be there for you when the rain starts to pour. I'll be there for you like I've been there before. I'll be there for you because you're there for me too. You're still in bed at 10 and work began at 8. You've burned your breakfast. So far, things are going great. Your mother warned you there'd be days like these, but she didn't tell you when the world has brought you down to your knees. And I'll be there for you when the rain starts to pour. I'll be there for you like I've been there before. I'll be there for you because you're there for me too. No one could ever know me. No one could ever see me. Seems you're the only one who knows what it's like to be me. Someone to face the day with, make it through all the rest with. Someone I will always laugh with. Even at my worst, I'm best with you. Yeah. It's like you're always stuck in second gear when it hasn't been your day, your week, your month, or even your year. I'll be there for you when the rain starts to pour. I'll be there for you like I've been there before. I'll be there for you because you're there for me too. Songwriters Michael J. Skloff, David Crane, Marta Kaufman, Ellie Willis, Philip Reynolds Solom, Danny C. Wild. It's a lot of people writing. So my favorite band of all time is Pink Floyd. I haven't read any Pink Floyd lyrics on the show. I don't think I've read a lot of Grateful Dead and a bunch of other stuff, but Pink Floyd's my all-time favorite. And this is my favorite Pink Floyd song. And I think I'll start to wrap up the show after this one. It's called Coming Back to Life, and well, I'll say it has a lot of meaning for me. Where were you when I was burned and broken, while the days slipped by from my window watching? Where were you when I was hurt and helpless, because the things you say and the things you do surround me? While you were hanging yourself on someone else's words, dying to believe in what you heard, I was staring straight into the shining sun, lost in thought and lost in time, while the seeds of life and the seeds of change were planted. Outside, the rain fell dark and slow, while I pondered on this dangerous but irresistible pastime. I took a heavenly ride through our silence. I knew the moment had arrived for killing the past and coming back to life. I took a heavenly ride through our silence. I knew the waiting had begun and headed straight into the shining sun. By David Gilmour. As I sit back and reflect on, what's led up to this point, where do I find myself right now, and even though I have to wake up and my alarm goes off in 2 hours, 3 hours and 24 minutes. Like, for some reason, I still stay up late. I'll end up falling asleep when I get home, like in between job and my training clients and classes. I'll sometimes like fall asleep for an hour and then I'm up later again. And I guess like kind of like maybe the chaos of the day, not bad chaos, just so much going on and being around everybody, and then coming back home and I'm by myself. And I've lived most of my times by myself, but it's just kind of a weird thing. I don't know why I kind of like try to avoid going to sleep, and it's like watching like some TV show, and it's not like I even really, it's not like I just care about the TV show or anything, but it's just like something that keeps me company or whatever. And I think I'll just close the show with, no, I hope I got my points across. Like, find yourself. I had a few different thoughts in mind of subjects for the show, but like you find yourself wherever you are now. And people often think they'll have to like go somewhere and find themselves. They have to go to India, or they have to go to, you don't really have to do that. You just have to like look at where you are. That's where you are. And then take these little steps, take the steps to get where you want to be and do what you want to do. And if you're not part of a community, it really helps to be, because there was a long time I wasn't really hanging out with people, and it's cool to be hanging out with people again, and the right people. Now, the song I just read, the Pink Floyd song, Coming Back to Life. Now, I've told the story about when I quit drinking and smoking weed and stuff. It was because this, I think this woman that I knew was like an angel or something like that. Didn't seem quite human. It's like too perfect. But one of the things that the message that I got when I saw her walking away for the last time, I didn't know it was going to be the last time that I saw her. Because I saw her, every day for a couple months. I don't know how long, couple months, 3 months, 3 months. I'd pick her up and take her to work when I was driving the cab. I'd take her to and from work Monday through Friday very regularly. And then that last time I saw her, like something just clicked in me that I quit drinking and smoking weed that day. Haven't had anything since. And it wasn't like I had like some big problem, but it wasn't doing me any favors either. But what I learned, that thing that she did, she made me realize you have to be a magnet for what you want to attract. And so if I was wanting, the whatever it was, like I guess at the time, I was, the right woman, and everything because that has a lot to do with how our life plays out, who we're with, and those kind of relationships. But you have to be what attracts that. And you want, I think you want to be real, you want to be true to yourself, but getting rid of the stuff that isn't helping you. And maybe that means the people that you're hanging around now will end up disappearing, but it gives room for the right people to pop up. And it's not like I can't hang out with people that drink or anything like that. I don't really care. But if like drinking is the thing, if I go to a concert with people and they're drinking, I don't care. But if people are like, hey, we're gonna go have some drinks, do you want to go? No, I don't want to go. I don't drink, for one. And if it's the thing, then I don't want to be doing that. But if it's not the thing and they happen to be drinking while the thing is going on, then that's different. So I would say, a lot of people are in this position where they want to quit doing something, quit a bad habit or start up in a good habit. Don't be afraid to reach out. And if you're in the Indianapolis area and you're into fitness stuff, you want to hang out with a bunch of cool people doing fitness stuff. And it's not like these things that we're doing require some kind of, high level of skill or anything. That we just go like hang out in the woods, hang out at parks and stuff, and it's a really cool bunch of people. Check out Indie Strength and Movement Community on Facebook. I know most people that listen to this show they're all over the world, and most of them are not in Indianapolis. But if you're not, then see what kind of communities like that are around you, because I bet they exist somebody. And if they don't, start one. Start a community. Maybe it starts with you and one other person, and invite people. Make it known that that's what you want to be a part of. And since I be a little bit more open to like talk about this kind of stuff now, where before maybe I wouldn't. These things pop up. I get invited to stuff that is really cool, and it's not just like, oh, we're going to go party here, or we're going to go party there, or come party with us, or it's like we're having a sweat lodge. This is we're all going to the park and play around. It's good stuff. So thanks everyone for tuning in. It blows my mind when I see how many people are listening from all over the world, and it's really cool. And I'm looking into how I can keep improving on the show. I'm going to get some new books to read from. If you get sick of, hopefully you don't get sick of the Rumi and the Grateful Dead. But I'm going to be looking into some new things to be reading, and I like that. When I listen to when I watch that show Northern Exposure, and there was the character Chris, and he had a radio show, and he would read stuff, and I thought that was pretty cool. And when I started doing this, I wasn't trying to copy him. I wasn't conscious of that. But then I remembered, and so I hope people like that. So I don't want to just ramble on and on like I'm doing now. So thanks again for listening. We will see you next time.